welcome to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, really reliving past trauma, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. That was me a couple of times while watching the show, but I'm Mr. Jason Rosca. With me here each and every single week, the DO to my ADO, Dave Martin.
Yeah,
hello,
right.
Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Or no, would you be the DO to my squadron commander?
I don't know. There's it during these times. It was so. It was weird how they structured their rank. It was strange yet so familiar.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll be. You could be the group commander.
Okay.
And I'll be a squadron commander.
All right, fair enough.
Very good. I'll take on that.
So, I mean, I guess all that being said, what are we talking about today?
So, Masters of the Air came out, and those of us who are Apple TV enabled watched it.
Which, thankfully, I was. I had no idea. I thought I was going to have to subscribe to this thing, but Kristen's like, no, I got one.
Yeah. So, Apple TV, I know it was kind of limiting for everybody, some people anyway.
Yeah.
So, Dave is cross-dressing. Am I?
I don't know where they got that.
I don't either.
Though that would actually be very entertaining, watching Dave as a crossdresser. Maybe haunting a little bit.
Yeah. You think I get in your head now? Oh boy.
God, I can only imagine.
You'd have to.
Now all I see is David at dress going, ooh. It's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you think the pillow is bad. Anyway, Masters of the Air. It was on Apple TV. We're gonna break down. It was a 2-episode premiere.
Yes, but I only watched the first episode.
You didn't watch the second one?
No, I thought we were only doing the first.
Why didn't you watch the second one?
Time, Dave. Time.
You know what? The problem with this guy sitting here is it looks like it's the camera. So we're gonna go ahead and move.
It's Lola.
We're gonna move Lola out of the way.
La 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 la. So yeah, we're only talking about part 1 of Masters of the Air.
Fucking hell. How in my brain am I going to differentiate that it was part 1?
I'll walk you through it
For fuck's
via
sake,
my
Jason.
notes.
God damn it. Why wouldn't you watch both parts?
I just answered that question. I'm not going to repeat myself. Besides, we never really said. Well, actually, no. I'm pretty sure we did say we were just going to do the first one.
No, we didn't.
I don't know.
Anyway, I watched both parts. Jason only watched the first
And
part.
technically, there's 3 episodes out now, so there were 3 episodes when I looked.
We're doing the first episode. So there you have it. The first episode of one that you've probably already watched 3 of. But you're going to get our first reaction to it, so there.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I mean,
Way to ruin it, Jason.
quite frankly, I feel like a lot of this episode is going to be personal stories and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, all of that. But before we get into any of this, we've got a bit of business to get to first. Should we start with Patreon?
You start with Patreon.
All right. We'd love to give a huge shout out to all of our current patrons: Chantal from Pop My Culture, Don Solsky, Scott and Kim from Used and Abused, Frank Levitch, Wally Frogmore, Tina Land, Carly Vickers, Dragon Buddy, Nick from Swede Studios, who we still need to figure out how we're going to get him the prize from last week, Kristen Roscom, Janine Vickers, Shotgun Mark, Sterling Azier, Lord Helmet Fire, Frederick Martin, my wonderful mother-in-law, Patricia Goodstein, The Orange and Fett Show, Ivo G., David Schmuck, Catherine Rennick, and Helen Martin. If you'd like to consider becoming a supporter, you can find us at patreon.com/the Sidebar Cantina. Thank you again to all of our listeners and supporters. You are the reason why we do this. And over to you, Dave.
I have Sidebar headlines.
All right.
Luna Girl would like to welcome our new followers on Instagram and YouTube. She was at Dark Side Burlesque and Shermacon.
Which we saw some pictures of.
And it was horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. David Address does not even come close to what we saw. But I undress. Luna Girl was at this burlesque show and ShermaCon in the Poconos over the weekend and met some talented artists, podcasters, actors, writers, and directors.
Nice.
She said it was definitely a vibe, and she's looking forward to chatting with them on the socials. So welcome to our new, hopefully, watchers, listeners, and Instagram followers.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will entertain you.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we do here.
Try to anyway.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for Sidebar Headlines.
Oh, all right.
That's all I have.
My penis so smooth.
I meant to hit that button.
Some.
I meant that's the one. Not
My penis. My penis.
this is a burlesque thing.
My penis.
Anyway,
My penis so smooth.
so do you want to talk about this Amelia Earhart thing?
My
Or-
penis so smooth.
Oh my God. Are you done?
My penis so smooth.
Now I am.
Should we talk about this Amelia Earhart thing at all, or should we
Sure.
wait until there's some details?
Sure. We're talking about World War II era flying and aircraft and everything else.
Yeah, early aviation.
Early
essentially.
aviation. Sure. Let's talk about Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, so this story just popped up a couple hours ago, and there was some explorer team that found they did some sonar images at the bottom of the Pacific, and they found what they are claiming is an aircraft, and they think it might be Amelia Earhart's lost aircraft.
Right.
But obviously, like, nobody's actually gone down there yet to take a look. We're just talking sonar images that are in the general shape of a plane.
Yeah. So listen, I am hugely skeptical of making a claim like this.
Yeah.
Do I think that there's an airplane there based on this sonar? Absolutely. Planes go down like that all the time. Now, I'm not making a comment about aviation safety. This is a specific shape airplane like this Lockheed Electra that Amelia Earhart flew on. Excuse me. And during the time frame and everything else, I 100% could believe that one of these aircraft could be in the water there.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, making the association with Amelia Earhart is sensationalizing this particular thing.
Sure.
And if you're doing it because, hey, I'm on this exploration team and I need funding to go prove this out, awesome. Then mission accomplished. You're going to be on, making headlines on CNN and Fox News and everything else.
Yeah.
So yes, you're going to get attention this way, but I'm going to be skeptical until they fucking get down there, look at it, and find goddamn tail number or
skeleton.
You may not even find that. To be honest, it's been so long. But yeah,
You want the evidence?
I want hard fucking proof that this airplane is Amelia Earhart's. I mean, it's just one of those. It's been one of those things that since her disappearance has always kind of been in the background.
Oh yeah.
And
it's like the Jimmy Hoffa body and everything else.
Yeah, and I think she is one of the pioneers of aviation, especially for women in aviation. And I think it's important if you find the airplane and you can potentially find out what happened to the aircraft. Was this a navigation error? Was it something mechanical with the airplane that caused it to go down? You answer so many questions about what happened. So yeah, let's go in there. Let's validate whether or not this is her airplane or not. But the sensationalization of the headline is
and it was NPR too that I pulled this from.
I know, and you would expect better, but everyone's got to get their clicks one way or the other.
Sadly, that's
it's
that's the world we live in now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm through my first Diet Coke. I was double fisting McDougal's Diet Cokes coming in here because I didn't have any cans with me today.
Yeah.
So.
Yet he was curious why he had to pee twice before we started.
I
too.
hadn't even gotten halfway through the first one. What's that stupid fucking that reel that starts out? Never better sound than this. I fucking hate that shit. That TikTok thing. Have you ever seen it?
I have no idea what you're
It's
talking about.
some fucking twit that has like a fucking latte in her hand, and she says, Name a better sound than this. And she's like shaking the latte thing.
I'm assuming it was an ice latte.
Yeah,
Okay,
because that's the ice rolling around.
sure.
And she looks like, I'm sure she's cute if she wasn't wearing all that fucking makeup. But anyway, I'm not. We're not making social commentary about fucking ice lattes. We're talking about Amelia Earhart.
Fair enough. And then one little other bit of semi-aviation news.
I should get that.
Probably. And I'll keep reading this. Is last week NASA announced that the Ingenuity drone, helicopter, whatever you want to call it, that's on Mars has flown its final mission. I mean, I think they said initially they wanted to get like 5 flights out of it.
5 flights.
And they ended up getting like 70.
Yeah, 5 flights over like 3 months, I think.
Yeah.
And 72 flights is what they got
Yeah.
over 3 years.
It is great.
And not to put too fine a point on it, like you don't have to be a science nerd or anything else. I mean, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're enough of a something to follow at least a little bit and know that there's a mission on Mars that had a fucking helicopter,
Yes.
a rotary wing aircraft on board.
Yeah, which is fucking unbelievable.
Right. The engineering that had to go into this aircraft is unbelievable because it's operating in almost no atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So to design the rotors to be able to grab enough atmosphere or air, for lack of a better term, to fucking be able to fly, and then to fly successfully so many times.
Yeah.
You know, and it overperformed. The engineers at JPL and that whole team should
Brilliant.
it's a shame. It's a shame that it kind of on its last landing, apparently it was landed a little bit uneven or something like that, and I think one of the rotors took some damage that is going to cause it not to be able to fly again. It's still communicating. It's still communicating with Pathfinder, and so they can still talk to it. It's still talking back. Like, I don't know what kind of science they're still going to be able to get from it.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to be able to fly.
And but again, they got more than they would have imagined out of it, and again, just another unbelievable marvel of human ingenuity, and like the fact that we even got that there to begin with is just the science and engineering behind it is next fucking level, man.
Yeah, I have to over engineer something to get it to that place. In the extremes of temperatures and everything else, the lack of fucking even air to be able to put a flying body into, to fly anything on, with a lifting body on another fucking planet, right? And then, and it has a little piece of the fucking original Wright Flyer on. Oh,
I do recall hearing something about that. We might have talked about that when we did our episode on
probably
on the rover.
But. Yeah, so there's a little piece of the original Wright Flyer on board. So and the original takeoff point, they named it Kitty Hawk.
Nice.
So it's an amazing thing. And it's a static display now. So now it's like every airplane that you see when you pull onto a base, it's like, oh, look, there's Ingenuity.
Yeah.
And I think I saw an article. I damn it, I don't think I read it. It came across my Instagram feed, but there's a full-size mock-up of Ingenuity, and it just got relocated to a museum somewhere. But so Google that and check that out. So maybe you get a chance to see that. Oh, shit. By the way, speaking of fucking space news and fucking
the sacred Jedi Black Series.
Not the Black Series. More in the news. Super exciting news. No, fucking have you seen the shit with Endeavor? Space Shuttle Endeavor?
No.
So the California Air and Space Museum or whatever, they're building that helicopter landing on your house right now? Jesus Christ. Speaking of helicopters, I'll wait. So the Space Shuttle Endeavour was at this museum in California, right? And so what they're doing is they're building an enclosure for the space shuttle stack. So they have 2 solid rocket boosters, the whole fucking stack. They took the last flyable external tank. They mated all that together, and then in the next, I think, few days, they're actually. It might be tonight, actually. No, I think it's tomorrow. I think it's the 30th. It's either tonight or tomorrow. Fucking somebody Google it and put it in the chat. But they're actually going to mate the Endeavor with the fucking stack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fucking.
Wow.
But so now you're going to have a fucking space shuttle in a launch configuration
As a static display?
in
That's
this
great.
fucking museum, and they're building. It's going to be all indoors.
Oh, man. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. So, dude, I've made it like it's one of my bucket list things is to see all the shuttles, right? And
That are still left.
that are obviously. So 3 of them are easier because they're on the West Coast, right? So you have Enterprise, which is up on the Intrepid in New York. You have Discovery, which is down at the Udvar-Hazy in Dulles. And then you have Atlantis, which is in Cape Canaveral, right? And the Kennedy Visitor Center there at the Space Center.
Yeah.
Words are hard. And then Endeavor is, out on the West Coast at this California site. So I'm gonna have to make a trip to this fucking museum. There are so many good like museums across the country that have random like unbelievable fucking exhibits
Yeah.
for representing different amazing space things. Like not even including like the Johnson Space Center and all, or the fucking Marshall Flight Center, all these places. I'm talking about like just random fucking museums that have like, oh, go to this museum in the middle of fucking Arkansas that had, or not Arkansas. Where's that place? I don't know. There's places that have like Apollo capsules.
Oh, damn.
From they have like, oh, here's the Apollo 12 capsule is here,
right?
Or here's the command module from the fucking Space Lab mission is here. It's like, what? Jesus Christ! Why the fuck is it there of all places?
Yeah.
So that they're lent out by NASA. I mean, it's still like government property, so they get lent out to these museums. But yeah, you can go to these fucking museums and you can see all this stuff. But the shuttles are definitely it's one of those things where I want to look at every shuttle.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see it and be there in front of every shuttle. And now this one in California would be on the fucking stack to be able to fucking stand there and be like, holy shit. Yeah, dude, 100%. I am all for it. So if you're on the West Coast, man, fucking get your ass to the museum because it's super excited. I am super excited.
Nice.
Use and abuse. Thank you. Endeavor will undergo its final historic lift starting Monday night. A maneuver no other retired orbiter has undergone. Taken from LA Times. Thank you. Use and abuse. So it is tonight at some point. So probably after we're done our show, go find it. It'll be on YouTube, I'm sure. So on Instagram, I think it's at California Air and Space is on Instagram. If you can go follow them, and they have all kinds of good shit. I'm not a proponent of a lot of things California.
Easy.
I've been known to trash California things, but this fucking museum is the tits. I'm telling you right now. So anyway, 10 p.m. tonight is when they start to move.
All right. So anything else on Ingenuity? Final flight. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Thanks, Ingenuity, for everything.
It was good shit.
Yeah.
Really good shit. All right. We're ready to move on to our weeks?
Sure.
All right, so I got a few things to talk about here. First, I know I don't have to preach to you about how cool 3D printing is, but still, I have this coworker, Will. What's up, man? Who he just got a 3D printer, I think last year, and he's been printing all kinds of shit he's been putting around the office and everything, and he wanted to do an AT-AT. And he downloaded a schematic and everything, and he started printing it, and it wasn't like coming out right because he couldn't quite fit it together. So he brought it to work one day, and I kind of helped him put it together. It's not finished, but he said I could keep the pieces, and he's going to finish printing the legs for me. But I wanted to bring this in because I just wanted you to look at the fucking detail in this thing and how good these goddamn 3D printers are. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Fucking look at that.
It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And this is why I'm probably gonna end up getting a 3D printer soon. Like, and these are the legs, and look at the feet, the fucking feet. He's got the little things, and they actually fold. But yeah, that's one of the legs.
Fab 365.
Yeah, that's like who designed it, I guess. But the fact that you can print a fucking AT-AT that size in such fucking detail blows my goddamn mind. And now all I want to do is get a 3D printer and then print like fleets of fucking Star Wars ships and vehicles and put them on display somewhere else because I have Black Series figures in here. But like when he showed me this AT-AT body, I'm like, holy fuck. I cannot believe how good that looks. Getting one more shot.
Yeah.
And
Do you know what kind of printer he has?
I do not. I can ask him though. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that in and show it off real quick because it's awesome, and I'm very, very, very close now to starting to look into getting something of my own so I can start printing shit like this. And that's the best part. It's like these Imperial vehicles, they're all like monocolor, you know, like in that grayscale already. Like imagine printing a Star Destroyer. Same thing, you know, it's that same gray material. You don't have to get any fancy colors. You don't have to fucking paint it. You know, it's just
you don't have to, but I mean, if you're so inclined and you want to get to that next level, you can, you know, start doing some weathering and, you know, adding those little, you know, greeblies that,
or make the Chimera.
Yeah,
you know,
just bring it to life a little bit. And but it still, you don't have to. It's not hard to get there, right? You don't have to go through a lot of extra shit. That it comes together.
Yeah.
And even just watching it print, and then all of a sudden it turns into something. It's just fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So 3D printing, man, I think we're only just scratching the surface of what we're going to be able to do with that shit soon.
Oh yeah, dude. Like Vic, you know, Helmet Fire has the bamboo, I think bamboo XLs, I think. Correct me in the chat.
Yeah.
Chad. And those things are fucking the bomb.com. Honestly. It's something the kids say, Jason. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I would buy if I had the disposable income.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely get one of those that he has because it's a nice contained unit and it prints phenomenally. Like the error rate for mine is a lot higher than it is for his because mine's like an open air one.
Yeah.
So controlling humidity and everything else, and like when you're looking, you have to make sure, hey, if I pause this, like, is it gonna, like, can I restart it? Like, if I see it spaghettiing, like, can I, you know, fix it to get back to a point? There's like all this stuff to look for. You know, the technology now, it doesn't necessarily have a feedback mechanism where it'll say, oh fuck, I messed this up and go back.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the newer ones, it's watching it with a camera. And if it's fucking up, it'll stop itself.
Like error correction and all that?
Well, it'll stop itself to the point where, like, if it's not going to continue to print. Like mine, if it's fucked, it'll continue to print. If it's a 13-hour print and in the first hour it fucked itself up and I'm not paying attention, it'll print for 13 hours all over the fucking place. There'll just be, or I'll have just like just pile of just bleh. Like,
It's not an exact science yet. Bronco Fett mentioned in the chat that he printed off one of the 6-legged clone walkers. Send me a picture of that, Tom. I'd love to see that.
yeah, there's so much good shit. Yeah, it's another hole to get into, man.
I know.
It is a dangerous hole.
But I have the perfect room already to put a 3D printer in and just run off prints all day.
You do. The humidity is actually stays pretty good in here.
Yeah.
Like I think you'd do well. You just have to keep the temperature a little bit better. Like if you're gonna run the printer,
Yeah.
if you're gonna keep it running in here, you just have to worry about the temperature because it does affect it.
Yep. Definitely. So before I get into the Sacred Black series, I have an addition to
The Sacred Jedi
Pops. Yes. So
Really?
if you remember last year, Kristen, if you can still see some of them in the corner over there, started collecting all the Valentine's Day Pops.
She did.
Well, new year, new Valentine's Day Pops. So
Really?
she picked up this Obi-Wan Kenobi, and if you see the message on the bottom,
Hello there.
hello there. So yeah, she got the new Kenobi Valentine's Day Pop. Now, apparently what they're doing this year is this is the only one that was done in that same style as last year. I guess the other two have like tin foil on the bottom and it looks like they're a piece of chocolate that's being unwrapped.
Huh.
She didn't like the look of it, so she didn't get that one or those two. But she did get the classic style Kenobi and did see hello there.
Hello there.
So, yep, she wanted me to mention that before we got into the Sacred,
The Sacred Jedi
which I only have 2 of today. So, I know, crazy.
My penis is so smooth.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but anyway. So the first one is one that I plan to open, and it's one that I already have, but I fucking love this one so much. It is the Shadow Stormtrooper.
Oh, you got another one.
Yes. So now I have one to open because
Nice.
that guy's fucking badass.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I love this one.
yeah, I love the black Stormtrooper. That's why I have the cosplay costume.
This guy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's badass.
So I'm looking forward to opening him.
Where'd you end up getting him?
I think that one came from, it was not eBay. It was, I don't remember. But you can still find them on random websites. Like I check Walmart every day, Entertainment Earth, all these other places, Target, and they just will randomly have a cheap Black Series figure. So, and the only other one that I got this week was kind of an important one that I did not have up to this point. Now, it is a credit collection, but it is a character that I have not had a Black Series of yet. And you know how I feel about the credit collections, but you can't go wrong when you can get a cheap version of Cara Dune, aka Gina Carano. So, yeah, I guess these came out fairly recently and they're not that expensive. I got it for like $32. Which, you know, if you remember when they came out and said they weren't gonna bring her back for, you know, Mandalorian or anything, her figure skyrocketed in price.
Yeah.
So like the normal packaged Cara Dune Black Series figure is still like $80, something like that. So, but this one was cheap. It's still a good version of the character, so I picked it up.
Yeah, we have. I'm trying to find her.
The pop.
Yeah, there's a couple of. We got one opened, and then I think there's 2 different versions of her, in pops up
Nice.
there. So I wonder what they're worth.
I don't know. It'd be worth looking up.
What a what a great character.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Such a shame.
Yep, but we've already talked that issue to death, and I'd rather not retread that. So, moving on, Kristen and I are still plugging away through the prequels. We watched Attack of the Clones over the weekend.
Okay.
Two things I got to say. First of all, I'm still going along with the kind of with the flow that I was feeling after watching Phantom Menace, where I'm like looking at these movies in a whole new perspective for some reason. I really think it's because of all the expanded content that's come out since. Like, I'm looking at these in a whole new light, and I'm gaining a whole new level of respect for, these prequels and what George was doing.
Right.
That being said, I did also observe why people call Attack of the Clones the worst of the prequels. I mean, the acting is pretty fucking bad in this one, and some of the effects are really like cheesy too. Like, I don't know what he was thinking with some of his effects choices. Mostly when it comes to like characters, specifically Anakin, like the scene where him and Padme are doing the fucking the romantic picnic around the waterfalls.
Yeah.
And then like the next scene, it's like him riding that big creature or whatever, and it's just like so obvious, like just this weird CG version of him riding that beast. It looked awkward. A couple other shots of him doing action sequences are like very obvious bad CG, and then just again some of the acting is just like, oh god.
Yeah, there's a lot of questionable choices when it comes to that. Like it's almost like what's on the cutting room floor or the digital floor that George cut out that would have made this seem like a little bit more, I don't know, less clunky, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the whole who took your virginity type thing, thing that like he asked her I guess we're supposed to assume it's like first kiss or something,
Right.
but it comes across as just really weird.
Yeah.
It's just George was trying to do a lot.
Yeah.
He was trying to do a lot with this one. Like the CG was getting in this order of magnitude better, and from episode 1, so he's trying to squeeze as much out of it as he fucking could.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, like I know it was a big joke with the robot chicken thing with Padme wearing like the Skippy outfits and like really tempting Anakin. After rewatching this again,
It was totally like that.
I'm like,
it's not even an
I'm like,
exaggeration.
holy shit! Like she was doing this on purpose the whole time,
Dude, I don't know. Like
she wanted.
this shit was like tight on her. It was like tight where she's already like tiny, and it was like tight where her like skin was like being pushed open. Like, why are you in such a tight fucking black leather outfit or black vinyl, whatever the fuck it was that you're wearing? And the lights are down. It's all like by the fire. Like, it couldn't have gotten any more romantic.
Oh yeah.
What? And they're like, no, we can't do this.
Right.
Like, what are you doing to this kid? No wonder he turned to the fucking dark side. You teased the shit out of him.
Well, and see, here's the thing. Like, I think she was like pretty close to the moment that they came together in this movie. Like, she decided she wanted that dick, but she wanted to play, some games
She's gotta
along
play
the
hard
way.
to get.
Yeah, so she's playing hard to get. But like rewatching it now with that mindset, I'm like, holy fuck, she was playing him this whole fucking movie.
Such a fucking twat waffle. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like, it's where when you get to when they're on Tatooine, he just fucking obliterated the
Sand people.
The sand people, comes back, killed them all, and has this little hissy fit, and she's in that blue outfit, which Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then she's in her whites, and then she gets fucking her clothes half ripped off, and then from there it's like, okay, holy shit. Like, this is where Natalie Portman has suddenly turned into, again, how can you blame this kid for turning to the fucking dark side? It's like, oh my God, I can't lose this piece of ass. I
will do anything.
I'm never going to see anything this hot in my life ever fucking again.
Yeah.
I will turn to the dark side.
Yeah. Just help me save Padme.
Right.
That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just again, seeing these movies from a whole different perspective now, and it's been good. It's been a fun rewatch, and now we've got Revenge of the Sith. I don't know when we're going to get to that one, but hopefully soon.
I'm scrolling through my Funko app because now that I've said that out loud, or I'm curious as to what the Cara Dune is worth. Now I have to find it. I have to find her.
Well, while you're looking for that, I'll talk.
$20.
Okay, so they probably made more of those than the Black Series figure.
Right.
So the last thing I had, I mean, we're obviously going to talk about football. That's going to be a given, especially after the 49ers somehow came back and won that fucking game yesterday.
Somehow.
Like, and look, Lions fans, I know you guys are upset. Like, and really the players gave that game away. That the Lions could have won that multiple times. I don't even blame their coach. I know a lot of people are giving the coach like a lot of shit today for going for it on 4th down
Right.
towards the end, and I agree with the call. And if that receiver had just, caught the ball that was put right into his fucking hands,
Yeah.
instead of just like throw it on the ground for whatever reason,
Yeah.
then they would have made that fucking 4th down.
Yeah. Unlike Aguilar.
Unlike Aguilar.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
I
But yeah, the Lions beat themselves at the end of that game. Like I'm
was-
glad the 49ers won, but fuck.
I think there was a point where I felt like in that game, sometimes I hate to say it. And in real time, it didn't feel that way, but it really felt like you have this lead and you start protecting the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Like you start play calling and you start trying to protect the lead as opposed to maintaining a level of aggressiveness that got you the lead in the first place.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what happened to Detroit. And then as soon as it starts happening and then like you start giving up those scores and now all of a sudden it's tied, instead of giving a mentality of like, okay, now this is zeros.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to have to start from the beginning and let's just start over.
Yeah.
And you can put the pressure on. We know it works, and regain the momentum. They could never do that, and it's really really hard. And I think what the difference is you look at an Andy Reid team like the Chiefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could give a shit about the Chiefs-Ravens game. If anything, I would rather have the Chiefs over the Ravens just because, like,
I'm just sick of all the Lamar Jackson talk.
The preordained fucking MVP thing is a little annoying.
He's been the fucking second coming of Jesus since their game against the Niners. And they won't show it. It was like Dak, right? Like Dak was the golden boy. He was always the topic of conversation until the Cowboys got eliminated, and then it's been nothing but fucking Lamar.
Yeah, and you know what? It's fine. He was a topic of conversation because all the bullshit with this contract, blah 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 blah. But he didn't win, right? The Baltimore fucking lack of discipline lost them that game.
Mm-hmm.
But that Andy Reid team, they know how to play 21 games a season.
They've done it many, many times.
Right. So, and every year that Andy Reid has been to the playoffs, he's gotten a little bit better at it. And so, an Andy Reid team is not going to get in a position like if they're in the lead, they're not going to lose a lead like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's happened to him before. He's lost those leads. And I think with Detroit, that's the experience that you gain. Right? You go into this game, you look at it, and you go back, and you go like, "Fuck, what happened? Like, where did it start to go?"
Yeah.
And that's a young team that's only going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I think Detroit has a lot of things to be thankful for.
No,
like I don't think this is not a fluke.
No,
that
they'll be back
position.
next year. Yeah,
this is not a fluke, and that's a good football team. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for that city.
Yeah.
I was rooting for the underdog there. But in reality, like they got to a point where it's like this was a team that started to protect the lead a little bit. Maybe started feeling it a little too early.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have to give Brock Purdy, your man, your guy right here. You're wearing the number 13. I have to give him a lot of credit because he fucking showed up. He showed up, and he wasn't a game manager. He wasn't fucking just out there handing the ball off to CMC. He got the job done.
Yeah.
For that team, and he proved that he belonged in the conversation and proved he proved himself.
Yeah.
And good for him. What's going to happen in the Super Bowl? I have no fucking idea. The 49ers are favored. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck in Vegas, kids, because who the fuck knows? I really don't know, because you can't. Even though the 49ers, you look at that team and go like, the 49ers are a better team. They have a better defense. They're a better team. But then you look at the fucking Chiefs and go, they they shouldn't be here, but here they are.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
that's that experience.
Yeah,
You know?
they know how to win.
Yeah.
They know how to win, and you look. You don't get to this point without talking about it.
Oh yeah.
And
But
Yeah.
I feel like this. I mean, yes, I'm a 49ers fan, so obviously I'm saying that. But I feel like they really are a team of destiny this year. Like it's kind of like now they're built to win now. Anything less than a Super Bowl championship will be a disappointment at this point.
yeah, I mean,
So-
you have the players that you have. You got you short up the line with what's his nuts that Chase Young.
Yeah.
You got Chase Young to be on the defense with Nick Bosa. You know, you have a good secondary. You have the weapons on offense. You got CMC for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Same thing with Debo. Like those are two players that don't have. You're not looking at a 5-year fucking longevity with those guys.
No.
So you got to win now with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and speaking of destiny, and you have it on here for your conspiracy theory thing.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
So, one of the conspiracy theories that came up, and I had messaged you about it,
Mm-hmm.
was in the game before yours,
The Baltimore game.
the Baltimore game, where they were saying that they had like the NFL. One of the narratives that was out there was that the NFL was bringing this dude in, this referee, that the home team, the away team was favored like 60% of the games that he called.
Right. Like
Right.
he's had a tendency to call penalties more on the home team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the home team had a losing record when he was officiating the game.
Sure.
And the conspiracy was that they wanted the Chiefs and Taylor Swift to fucking be in the Super Bowl.
Right. They.
Yeah.
Whoever they are.
Right. So that's why they put this guy in there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I have to say about anything like that. Anything like the preordained, the fucking scripted, and anything else. And we may have had this conversation before, but I'm going to say it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of non-sports fans out there that'll fucking buy into this narrative.
Mm-hmm.
This is not fucking professional wrestling. This is not the WWE. You are not telling these players, these 22 players on the field of play that are going out there and hitting each other like 35-mile-an-hour cars hitting each other.
Mm-hmm.
The violence of these collisions and everything else are not scripted. Nobody's pulling punches. Nobody's throwing games. That does not fucking happen.
Yeah.
You don't go out there, you don't run some pre-scripted bullshit. And the idea that an entire league would do that and that everyone be on board to fucking run this script. Even the NFL has made fun of it.
Yeah.
But with the commercials with what's his nuts, Keegan Key and Peele guy.
Yeah.
But the idea that a football player who's sacrificing so much of his fucking body,
Mm-hmm.
and granted, professional wrestlers do the same thing, but they're doing it
It's
in
different.
a much more controlled environment, and you're doing it one-on-one. You're doing it with. And sometimes in a multiple, and I don't want to have this argument with fucking people that follow professional wrestling.
No,
but
no.
The reality is that there's no fucking way in the world that you're going to have this level of athleticism happen in these games with the amount of betting that's going on with it,
Yeah.
that you're going to have a fucking team that's going to throw a game. They're going to go out there and they're going to try and fucking win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, they're trying to lose for a fucking draft pick. Something like bullshit.
Yeah.
Because one guy's career is going to be dependent on that one game where somebody's fucking watching him. And if he's just standing there with his thumb up his ass, there's another team that's going to look at that going like, I don't care how talented he is. He fucking decided he was going to fucking stand there and let some guy get to the quarterback because they have a losing season.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Because this is their livelihood. You know,
Yes.
these guys make these paychecks based on how well they perform in games.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that they're going to be pulling back? Like, no, fuck you. Like, I want to buy that nice Viking yacht. So I'm going to play my ass off. I'm going to try to get a nice bonus, and hopefully we fucking win.
Yeah.
And go fuck yourself with the whole conspiracy theory thing.
Yeah. I hate that fucking narrative. And
It always comes down to the referees too. Like after the Baltimore game, I saw so many people like doing like side by side shots. This was pass interference, but this wasn't, and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, fucking stop.
And look, I'm one of those people that I will joke that like in a Cowboys game that Jerry Jones is on the phone with the guys, saying, "Hey, look, the game's we're losing the game a little bit here. We need to get this reeled in."
Mm-hmm.
And I joke about that, but in reality, there's no way that you're going to have that level of conspiracy. Now, one or two crooked players that are doing something like that for money, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have a whole fucking league of that.
No.
Otherwise, you can't sustain it. You're going to limit your audience. And, oh, by the way, you're not going to have billions of dollars fucking changing hands on any given fucking day betting on this sport. If there was any thought of it being fucking scripted in any fucking way, you think people would be betting on it?
Oh, hell no.
No, there are people that make their livelihoods just staring at everything that's happening with this league. And the randomness and the human element that's there is part of the entertainment that goes into it. So fuck you if you're going to continue with this narrative that it's fucking, oh, this is preordained. Oh, look, this grocery store has fucking cakes that have the fucking Chiefs and the 49ers already on my cake. It's obviously been preordained because the Acme they were told by the NFL that this is what the Super Bowl was going to be.
And that's the thing. We've had a couple of examples. Like, first of all, there was the thing with the Super Bowl logo. And how like the last few years it's always matched the color of the teams that were playing.
Which is horseshit because last year there was no fucking no midnight green.
I'm just saying this is one of those.
Kelly Green was not a thing yet, so fuck you for even grasping at that straw.
Right, but then this year they're like, oh, and obviously they're in the Baltimore and the 49ers colors, so I wonder who's going to the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? It's not fucking Baltimore. Same thing with, did you see the screenshot of the leaked like television like coming soon type thing, like the TV guide thing from a TV, and it was like talking about the Super Bowl. Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens and the 49ers play in Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah.
Right. But things that are printed, mass media that's printed has to be printed for all possible contingents so they can get off the shelf, right? So you have all these covers printed that, and some people might leak them, right? This is like the fucking, I guarantee you, there's t-shirts out there that had fucking the NFC champion Detroit Lions on
Oh,
it.
yeah, of course.
Right? They're out there.
Oh, yeah.
They're being,
And
they're on a slow boat to fucking
they're-
Gambia right now.
Yeah, they're on their way to Africa right now, but
Which, oh my God. I remember being in fucking, where was I? I was in Cambodia. And I saw one of those fucking shirts. I saw one of them, and it made me. What was it for? It was a World Series. It was a World Series T-shirt. It wasn't the Phillies though,
but somebody that didn't win.
Somebody that didn't win, and I'm like, oh my fucking God! Do you see that? It was Keith Peachin was with me, and we were at fucking Angkor Wat.
Okay.
We were in the ruins at Angkor Wat, where Tomb Raider was fucking filmed. And we're strolling around, and there's a fucking guy, and he had a Phillies hat on too, by the way. But he had this fucking T-shirt on. It was of a fucking losing. It was the losing World Series team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the fuck is that? Right? I just like I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, after that, I was like obsessed. I'm like, I want to get like a 1993 Phillies World Championship fucking for a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but then the conspiracy theories, it's fucking stupid. Stop it, people. It's not real. One last thing I had to say about that. The whole Taylor Swift thing. I don't know why people are so upset about the Taylor Swift thing. I actually find it kind of enjoyable. I think it's a good story. Like, if I'd like to think that these two are truly, like, really in love, like these two big names in entertainment, and that she's really just going just to fucking cheer her man on.
She is one of the most fucking popular. She's one of the most popular people in the world.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's one of the richest people in the world.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to glom onto the NFL for anything.
No.
Like, she doesn't need this airtime. She doesn't need
No,
any of it.
She's bringing money to the NFL.
Right. So there's nothing about this relationship that she's gaining. So hopefully, for all intents and purposes, I think everything looks legit. Like, especially like watching New Heights and you know, we all know I have a man crush on fucking Jason Kelsey, and you know, the Kelsey brothers seem very, very genuine. The whole family dynamic is very genuine, and I'd like to think that why they're at a place in their lives that why would they bullshit about this? Like, they don't need this big extra thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, oh, by the way, Travis Kelsey fucking pissed off the Ravens right out of the jump, like fucked with them during the pregame and got in their heads right in the beginning, and it fucking worked the entire game. It was fucking great. But yeah, the guys that are in New Heights and the Travis Kelsey that's in New Heights, and you would like to think that the guy that's there and Taylor Swift are having a real relationship, and it's a guy from fucking Ohio and a girl from fucking Pennsylvania, just, you know, having a relationship, and you hope that it works out.
Yeah. But I have no issue with that. I had no issue with them showing her, you know, half a dozen times during the
honestly,
game.
Even in that game, it seemed like the throttle was pulled back on that.
Yeah.
On the Taylor Swift.
But again, I don't see why. Like, if I was the NFL, fuck yeah, I'll have her on all the goddamn time. Yeah, bring in all those new eyes. Like, you're going to have a generation of fucking young girls who are all going to be fucking Chiefs fans in 20 years because of this time right now.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's child trafficking. What?
Okay, well, it's a hard left.
Yeah, wait, what? It's distracted by the chat.
So,
Sorry.
But yeah, Super Bowl, Chiefs and Niners. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I feel like this, despite how they've been playing in these fucking playoffs, I still feel like the Niners are a team of destiny. They are equipped to win now, and this is when it needs to happen.
Yeah,
they need to win. So that's what. That's
yeah,
what I'm hoping.
I'm pulling for Jason's happiness.
Yeah,
that's what I'm pulling.
Well, I appreciate that. And besides, the Chiefs, they've had their fucking wins. Okay. What is that, like 2 wins in the last 4 years, 2 Super Bowl wins? It's like, okay, fucking let somebody else.
What are they? They've been to the Super Bowl, what, 6 times in the past? Like, it's something insane. Like, all right, come on now.
So, but that's it. That's it for my week.
On top of Jason's football stuff, which I have no investment in football right now, even though I watched it and was entertained. Like, if for nothing else, this weekend's football was entertaining.
Yeah.
So good. You know, as a fan of none of these teams, I wanted to watch football that was good sport and entertaining, and it was. So, hooray for that. But it was. Thankfully, it was raining all day yesterday, so I couldn't like go outside and do stuff. So being inside and I was doing stuff on a computer and had the games on, so it wasn't wasting my time.
Sure.
So it was all good. But on Saturday, I actually did some drone flying.
Nice.
So I'll rewind. Helmet Fire let me borrow his drone.
Okay.
Right. It had the Mavic Air 2, and I ended up purchasing it from him. So now I am back drone enabled. Those of you who are familiar with the show know that I had a mishap with my other my Mini. We're not going to get into it. Just leave it at that. Listen to the old show. But so now this is a much higher performance aircraft to fly around in.
Yeah.
And so I went down. I was out running errands actually, and because Kathy wasn't feeling well all weekend, so I was kind of like doing like groceries and stuff like that. So I was out and about, and it was nice on Saturday. Like it wasn't super warm, but it was like kind of nice out.
Yeah.
So I went down to my old neighborhood, right where I grew up, and
Which isn't that like a mile from where you currently live?
like a mile and a half. But you know, my childhood home, like my parents don't live there anymore. Somebody had bought it and they flipped it, and now it's somebody else is living there. So I wasn't going for that, but I grew up literally 300 yards from a pre-Revolutionary War tavern.
Oh yeah, I think you've mentioned that before.
Yeah. So it's a Gabriel Davies Tavern. It's kind of been like a staple in like the background of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very weird because when you're a kid and you have something like this, that's just kind of like you're playing in a field you're playing in a field in front of this building that's been there for, 250 years. It's just, you don't think about it because it's just there, right? It's just this structure that's always been there. And, you're going through the tours and playing in the woods. I mean, this wooded area by the creek and everything else is where I did all my playing. I shot each other with fucking BB guns, and like it's like really it's that area has been kind of the focal point for a lot of where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So I drove down there, and I'm like, oh, the batteries on the drone are charged up. Let me go down there. I'll do some flying around it. And I did. I flew around, took some pictures of the building, trying to work on my video skills, because there's a different performance factor with this because it's a bigger drone. So I'm trying to work that stuff out, and went through a couple batteries, took a bunch of pictures. But one of the things that and I have some more to post on Instagram, but one of the things that I think is interesting. The tavern it was built in 1756, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the Big Timber Creek, which where I currently live is also on the creek, right? So I could, if the tide was right, I can jump in the kayak and I could actually go to where the tavern is.
Yeah.
Like I could kayak there. But what they would do is they would actually, from that creek, they would actually go by, stop at the tavern, and then they continue from there and go all the way to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like kind of a stop for business transit and stuff like that. The story is that George Washington had spent the night there at one night, on his way to Philadelphia. So it's got that prime location. So what I did was I put the drone at about 400 feet, like maybe 380 feet. And I backed it up to the point where you could see the tavern and you could see the city, and give you a really good idea of like why it was where it was. Cause you can see you could see the creek going off, like, and then from where the creek kind of goes, and it goes off to this direction, but I lined up the city right on the tavern. So you can see like has that location, like, yeah, this is why this is here.
Yeah.
Because of its location. And it was a cool view, because I never, we moved there when we moved from California. We in the early 80s, right? So for fucking over like 40 plus years, 30 plus years, I guess, I lived there. Only had this one perspective of this particular place, and I knew it front and back. And I put the drone in the air, and I had this completely different perspective of the entire area, and it was really, really cool.
Yeah. Drones are good for that.
Yeah, and so I was taking some pictures of it. I had follow my Instagram. I actually put up a reel with some video. I'm not super happy with the video, but it's a little rough. But videos, I'm not a video guy. I'm a still picture guy. So my videos are kind of clunky. I got to work on it. It's just something I got to do. But speaking of drones, but not segueing really well into microwaves.
Both pieces of electronics?
Sure. Let's go with that. So I was sitting in the office this week, and a guy comes in, and he's talking to somebody else, and he opens up the microwave, and he tosses in his breakfast,
Okay.
closes it, starts it. Now, what do you think is going to happen right now? I'm talking about it, so you know something bad's going to happen.
Sparks, like maybe left a piece of silverware in there or something.
Apparently, inside this white paper bag was a foil wrapped, like fucking breakfast wrap.
Okay. Oh, foil.
Foil.
Oh,
Like a full, like it was a breakfast wrap, like it's like this big, wrapped in aluminum foil. That he didn't think, like he didn't realize that there was foil inside this white bag. He just tossed it in there to heat it up. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the microwave. He had already walked by, and I'm looking right in the window of the microwave.
yeah.
Jason, I have not seen, aside from being on television, right? I remember when I was a kid, we got our first microwave. It had to have been like 1981, 82, something like that. One of those giant microwaves, that when you turned it on, the power dimmed. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So my mom had gotten a baked potato from Roy Rogers. Right? This is when Roy Rogers still had a place near here. And again, microwaves are like this new thing. So she had put it in there, not really understanding what was going to happen. And she fucking hit go. And it was fucking sparks and everything. And I was standing there looking at it. Right? So fast forward 40 years later, and I'm sitting there watching. I mean, sparks. And I'm like, yo! Like, that's the only thing I can get out of my mouth. And he fucking was like, huh? And he comes back, and you like, there's fire. Like,
Yeah.
it is like, it's. He hit the button, and look, it was like a second, right? But it was everything. All this shit happened in a second. It's like watching a nuclear reaction. Like, so he takes the thing out, and the bag is fully engulfed in flames. Like, the entire white bag is now like in flames. And I'm watching him like trying to put the fucking bag out. I'm just sitting there like, the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
And it's 7:15 in the morning, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's just fucking lighting the building on fire right in front of me, like. And he's like, I didn't know there was foil in the bag. I'm like, well, I think we should open a window.
Yeah.
There's fucking
Like smoke and everything is like filling the room.
I mean, if you've never, like, it's one of those things you kind of like you take for granted. You learn in your life, don't put fucking metal in a microwave.
I've got a story about that.
Yeah.
From the 80s. We had a microwave in our old house, and like I loved like bread and butter. Like bread and melted butter, right? So we had this butter. Now, I don't know if you remember back in 80s times, butter didn't come in that waxy paper. It came in like this foil.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, it's a brand new butter. It's not melty. I'm not gonna be able to spread it. I'm like, oh, I'll just kind of open it, like flatten the foil like it's a piece of like a plate or something.
Right.
Stick it in the microwave and warm it up for 20 seconds. Instantly, boom, fucking flames. I'm like, ah! Pull it out. I don't remember how I put the fire out. I think I got like a cup of water or something and poured it in. Of course, I'm at home by myself when I'm doing
course.
this. I'm like in like 6th grade, something like that. And yeah, so I started a fire, and thankfully I got it out real quick. I think I crumpled up the fucking the foil wrapper,
The evidence.
like buried it in the trash can, and then just put the butter on like a tray or something, and put it back in the fridge. But yeah, like I had that moment myself again when I was like a kid in the 80s.
And what's funny too is that early microwave, like it was I think it was J.C. Penney. Was it J.C. Penney? It was something like that. It was one of the department store brands, right?
Yeah.
And so my dad, it ruined the microwave. Like when I was a kid, it wouldn't work after that.
Oh shit.
And it was brand new, dude. And when I say it was brand new, I mean I think the box was still outside.
Oh god.
Like it was that brand new. So my dad gets home from work, and it's like pandemonium. So he takes it back,
Mhm.
He took it back to the store and got another one.
I was like, yeah, this isn't working. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
it's
going on.
broke. I don't know what happened here. Like, what's his scorch marks? I don't know. I mean, it's just, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And he got another one.
Nice.
So, we had basically the same exact microwave. Just and a life lesson. Don't put any metal. It's something I legitimately, every time I fucking open a microwave door, I think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think about that day. And and then watching it happen in front of me again, I was like immediately taken back to like being fucking 6-7 years old, like watching it going like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, don't put aluminum foil in microwave, kids. It's spectacular. Or if you're gonna do it in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Mythbuster style. Helmet Fire apparently has put all kinds of shit in microwaves.
Just for the hell of it.
Yes, if you look in the chat, he has done all kinds of shit. But that checks with Helmet Fire. Honestly,
The Sidebar Cantina does not condone
don't
the
do
putting of metal into microwaves.
Don't burn your house down because Dave mentioned fucking putting shit in the microwave.
Yeah.
Like it's some sort of fucking Aqua Teen Hunger Force episode. Why is it on here? Anyway. So speaking, and now this is at work, right? So speaking, like last thing, every week I sit here before the show,
Mm-hmm.
and I struggle with my week.
And I have to listen to this.
Right, every fucking week I sit here and go like, "What the fuck did I do this week?" And I have my fucking little book, and I don't write shit down because I'm a fucking idiot, and I literally. I sit here in silence and try and fucking remember. And I had this issue this morning. I think it started last night where I was trying to remember somebody's name and it wasn't coming to me. And it was bothering me. And I went to bed. I woke up. It's still, but like the first thing I was thinking about was like trying to remember the name and I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I could give you I literally could give you 25 bullet points about this person, like in detail,
Right.
describing this person, like physical attributes, fucking where they grew up, fucking where they lived, the cars they drove, everything, all this other information, but not the fucking name. So I have access to these files, but I don't have the fucking the picture of file folder. I can see inside the file, but the little name tab is like missing on it. And it's infuriating to have this like memory vacuum. And while I'm and I think when I'm sitting here
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of what I did during the week, unless it was so significant that I wrote it down or talked to you about it, it's work. Work is a memory vacuum.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm expending so much fucking of my like intellectual energy into the fucking shit show that is work that by the end of the day I have no capacity left.
Yeah.
Right? And whatever it is that I am doing, unless it's like so significantly like different than anything normal, excuse me, I'm not going to remember it.
Yeah.
Because I've exhausted my capability for the day. Like that hour drive home, all I've done is done my best to fucking close that file cabinet
Decompress.
and just like get home so I'm not fucking insane.
You're just
when I
at the
get home.
wheel for 45 minutes just going, fuck. Fuck.
More like an hour, dude. Because of the drive home, I mentioned it when I got here, like there's more motherfuckers on the road than there ever was. Like I've been making this commute since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 2006 I moved off base.
Yeah.
And came down living in the area I live now. So I've been making this commute for 18 years.
Yep.
18 fucking years. This is the most traffic that I've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it doesn't matter what time of the day I fucking leave either.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same amount of lanes, but there's more people now.
Yeah.
You know,
Stop fucking.
Yeah, people aren't stopping fucking.
Well, I mean, somebody like the the millennials aren't having kids. Like I think
They're making up with that with the open borders down south, but
I guess they're not probably driving. I mean, these idiots are fucking. Look, there's people at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning that are on the roads between fucking my house and Route 73, going God knows where. Where the fuck are you going? Like I know where I'm going. Like, and I guess they could say the same for me. But where the fuck are all these people going?
yeah.
Like, especially going north. Like, I can see if you're going into the city, I'm not going that way. I'm going the opposite way of all you motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you fucking there? Like, there's not that many jobs in the fucking Cherry Hill, fucking Mount Laurel area that all you motherfuckers can be on 295 at the same time. Like, if you want to go to Chick-fil-A that fucking bad, wait an hour.
Yeah.
Wait, just it's the commute. The commute is the worst part of my job. And it contributes to this memory vacuum.
Yeah.
Because I try really, really hard to fucking I'm trying to clean the slate for the day.
Yeah.
Because I'm so aggravated during the day. Because I just am. I'm problem solving nonstop all day. And we're going to talk about, like, here with the Masters of the Air, which was our topic, by the way.
Yeah.
When we're looking at Masters of the Air, and we're talking about how, like, a squadron was run and how the flyers actually were, like, there's so much logistics that these guys didn't have to do.
Yeah.
That fall to us in a situation where we're at now, and it's different, and we'll get into it, but it drives me crazy, and I got to do it. I got to keep doing it, but it is the one thing that it makes me question whether or not I'm doing the right thing. Is as I'm in my fucking 18th year of making this commute, it's like, God damn it.
Well, I mean, I'll say one of the best parts about me retiring and then getting my job here locally was not having to do that commute anymore.
I know.
That brought me so much happiness when I realized I didn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
I'll get there.
All right.
I'll get there.
We're always hiring. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can't. I got time now invested in the GS. I don't want to lose that. I want that second retirement early. I don't want to have to work till I'm fucking in my 60s.
Yeah, no, I hear that. All right. Well, is that it for your week then?
Yes.
All right, cool. Any need for a pee break again before we talk about our main topic?
No.
All right, so let's get into it. Masters of the Air. So I didn't even know this was a thing until you brought it up, a couple of weeks ago? Well, or no, it was about a month or two ago. I think you mentioned
about
it.
About a month ago. No, I definitely... I talked about this when when they originally made the announcement that it was going to come out. Because it was I think it was right around the same time I got back from England. It was Memorial Day in 2021? 22. Memorial Day 2022. When I was out there for the ceremonies out in England. And got to visit the airfields and all the other stuff. And when I came back, like this kind of had come across my radar.
Yeah.
And I was way more sensitive to it because obviously making the trip to fucking the place in England where all the American airmen are buried, you know, and going to the Duxford Museum and seeing like all the B-17s and seeing the B-17 flying while I was there, it's just like, holy shit. And then knowing that this was coming out, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like the timing of everything just opened up this whole part of me. So I brought it up then, and the production just kept getting pushed.
Right. Yeah, and I have a note on that because they started filming this back in 21, but I guess they kept getting delays due to COVID and a bunch of other shit. So yeah, it took them 3 years to finally make the air on this thing.
Yeah.
And it just came out. First episodes came out last week, and like I said, there's as of today, the 29th, there's 3 episodes now of this up on Apple TV. Which, I mean, every once in a while I'll hear like, oh, this is coming out on Apple TV, but I don't think they have like nearly as big of a streaming audience as somebody like Netflix or even your.
It's 2 episodes right now. There should only be 2.
I'm telling you, I saw 3.
No, it should only be 2. There's the third one's supposed to come out February 2nd. I'm looking at it online right now.
All right.
If I'm wrong, somebody go in the chat.
Then my Apple TV is lying to me.
I'm going to look at it right now. Actually, I'm going to my Apple TV and I'm going to look.
And overall, it's going to be 9 total episodes.
Yes.
They're all about an hour each, so we're talking 9 hours of entertainment. This is the same crew that made Band of Brothers and The Pacific, so I mean, I know a lot of people went crazy for fucking Band of Brothers. That was extremely popular.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because it was very well done.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's the historical accuracy and like all this World War II stuff. Like the World War II stories, they never get old, I don't know what you're showing me right now.
See, it says episode 3. It says coming this Friday.
It says account David Martin, connected apps.
Oh, for God's sakes, Jason.
I'm not the one who did it.
See it?
Yeah, part 3. Oh, coming this Friday.
Reading is fundamental, Jason.
Indeed it is.
Just like when I said we were going to do all 2 episodes.
You never said that. That never, ever came out of your mouth. Anyway.
They released 2 episodes. Why would we? All right, anyway.
And yeah, it's about the 100th Bomber Group of these B-17 bombers during World War II. And it's very interesting. And like, I love this because we're going to make this historically accurate movie about these fucking aircrew guys fighting out in World War I. So how are we going to, or World War II, yeah. How are we going to open, I said 2 just a minute ago. Anyway, how are we going to open this fucking episode? Easy. We're going to open it with 2 fucking aircrew members doing shots. That's, if you've been there, if you've done this like we have, I'm like, that is the most fitting way to open up a shot about aviators.
Yeah. And so, a little bit backstory for this production, right? These 9 hours.
Mm-hmm.
There was a book written called Masters of the Air, which I read. And this is the characters and everything. These are all real people, right? This is a not as much a documentary as like basically a historical representation of the events.
Yeah.
Of the Bloody 100th. And that's what the 100th bomb group was called, the Bloody 100th.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that these guys are so like why the story is with these guys is because of the amount of losses that they would ultimately take.
Yeah, which we even see that in the first episode.
Right.
Losses that they took where they didn't even drop a single bomb.
Right.
And
all right, well, let's go through your notes.
Okay.
Spoiler alerts. We're going to get into spoilers because if you didn't know, we won the war.
Yep.
So, but we got our ass handed to us a lot in the beginning. So there you go.
Yep. And so we start off in a bar. We start off with a bunch of fucking aircrew members drinking in a bar. Yep. Again, that's nailed it.
Yeah, bunch of majors.
There's a reason why I can't drink anymore, and it has a lot to do with our flying days.
Yes.
And again, I'm looking at it from an aviator's point of view. So like people who've never been in the military are seeing this stuff and like it's nothing to them. Something simple like the U.S. lapels on their fucking uniforms. I'm like, those are the ones that the officers currently wear. Those are what I used to wear when I first started in the Air Force before they made us wear the ones with the fucking circles around them.
Right.
That are fucking stupid looking.
Well, but enlisted in those days, that's what they had.
Mm-hmm.
They had the circle. Now it wasn't a circle around it. They were like a solid circle with the U.S. on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Still, I think it looks far worse than the just the U.S.
the modern day Air Force uniform is terrible. We could do an entire episode just on that. How bad that fucking polyester nonsense is.
My wife is texting me. So yeah, like that's I focus on a lot of shit like that most people who've never been in probably would never notice. And a majority of this is around this character, Gale, whose nickname is Buck. His buddy is Bucky. It's the guy who played Elvis, that Austin, what the fuck's his name? Austin Butler. And like, I didn't recognize anybody else in this first episode at all. He's the only actor that I actually recognized.
I'm glad you recognize that, because I didn't. I've seen about 10 minutes of that Elvis movie.
Oh, I haven't seen any of it. I've just seen the trailers, but his face is so recognizable. Like, it's going to be hard to think of this actor and not think of him in that role.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and it's they're talking about one of the guys is getting shipped off to Europe now. The other one's going to be joining them in 3 weeks.
Right.
And they're all just young guys who just got, some of them were drafted, but some of them were in before the war broke out. And I love too, at one point later on in the episode, they mentioned like before all this started, like some of them had never even flown in a plane before.
Yeah.
And now they're fucking crew members on these B-17 bombers. It's
yeah. So yeah, I'll get into that a little bit here in a second.
So yeah, but this whole opening scene in the bar, they're basically like, he's talking to his girlfriend and I'll write you and everything else. And
yeah. So the Buck or Bucky.
Well, Bucky is his buddy,
right,
who's like going first.
Buck is the one with the girlfriend who's kind of the square.
Yeah.
He doesn't really drink. Mm-hmm. He's not into sports, right? He's just he's just a dude.
Yeah. He's a good pilot though.
Right.
They show us later on how good of a pilot he is.
Right. Because that's what you see next is, okay, you got one dude shipping off, right? It's like, don't you go dying on me, before I get there.
Yeah.
And so you have the crew that's taken basically a squadron of B-17s from the States over to Europe, over to England. And it has their kind of transiting up through Greenland and making the hops to go up there to get there. Again, this is one of those things where it's that inside baseball. Like, people, they don't think about how did those airplanes get there. Like, you assume that they flew there, right?
Sure.
But what it took to actually get them there is something so unthought of.
Yeah, because again, these aren't the fucking same kind of airplanes we have today. Like,
no, these guys are flying at 10,000 feet. Mm-hmm. They're flying,
crawling by today's standards.
Yeah, they're trying to maintain formation. There's no fucking, there's no GPS. There's no
they're using actual navigators.
Yeah,
who have these fucking maps and protractors and everything else,
and sextants and whatever they can fucking do to get across the fucking ocean, across the Atlantic. And look, when they're going into, I think it was like Thule, right? Is when that first landing spot when he's fucking crabbing it in.
Yeah, with the 50-knot crosswinds.
Yeah. Which we've seen.
Yeah.
We've 100% seen. Like, you get an ETOPS alternate, right? Which for aviators, you have, if you only have 2 engines, like, you have to have certain alternates for when you're flying over the ocean. Mm-hmm. And some of those ETOPS alternates are like, this is work as an alternate.
Yeah. It's like a chunk of cement.
It's
5 miles out in the ocean or something.
But there's plenty of these airfields that like exist. Like Ascension Island is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
You go out in the middle of the fucking Atlantic Ocean, there's a runway. Why? Because we had to get B-17s and B-24s across the fucking Atlantic to get over to Africa and get over to
Cradle
England.
of fucking civilization.
Anyway, saying all that, it was cool to see this these crews, transiting, like, okay, we're got to get the planes there. And when they get we see the capabilities of the pilot, and then you see the one fucking crew get lost.
Yeah.
Right?
Like literally got lost in the clouds.
You got a fucking navigator who gets airsick.
Yeah.
Right? Which is,
that brought back some memories because in my early boom operator days, like I got airsick real bad during my training in Oklahoma. Like to the point where they're like, dude, you got to fucking get it together or you're.
They put you in the chair.
Yeah.
Like, you did all that.
Mm-hmm. And eventually I got over it, but
yeah, and most people do. And it's not like an immediate washout. I
Yeah.
think, I think people have this misconception that like, oh, well, if you can't handle it, like, no, there's things that you can do to help like train your vestibular system.
Yeah.
And they'll do that.
Like
while you're in
I had
training.
saltines, like that was one thing they said is get saltine crackers. So I always had like a fucking packet of saltines with me and everything else. But yeah, I got there. But again, seeing that dude puking at that navigation station brought back a lot of memories.
That's a lot of trauma.
Yeah. That's one of many traumas that I relived during this episode.
So one of the things we don't really talk about it yet in this show, and I don't know if they'll actually get to it, but the book talks a lot more about the training, right, and what they're doing during the training on the base, and the navigators. So the bombardier, the navigator, and the pilots are all officers, right? So the navigators are kind of like they were like when we started flying, like with the 135, right? The navigators are a lot of pilot washouts.
Yeah.
Right? Either for eyes or whatever.
Mm.
But so you had, and the navigators and the bombardiers that they went to separate schools. Like the bombardiers had a completely separate school, and then they kind of joined up later for like their targeting and stuff like that. And then they joined the squadrons. So they're like the training aspect of it. Like, hey, here's these navigators, and they go out and then do their training sorties. And this guy's perspective, who's narrating this kind of for the book, you're kind of getting it from his perspective, like how he was a navigator that had to go through all this stuff to even get to where that is. So, again, before we even go any further, if you get the opportunity and you really want to, like, get into more detail about this particular story, like, this is a fantastic book, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. And then, we get an interesting juxtaposition because there's so many parts of this show that I like, I find I'm in tune with. I'm like, oh yeah, nope, I know what that is. I know what's going on here. And then there's some parts, which was like one of the next scenes after the bar scene, is when they're fucking flying in a combat mission and they're in a dive in the clouds to try to put out a fucking engine fire. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Far cry from what we went through. Back in the day.
Well, we had fire suppression systems,
yeah.
right? Like we have what amazes me to this day is they're flying fucking airplanes. Like some of the things that they had, the technology that they had on these airplanes, right? That people take for granted, right? The autopilot, right? So they go on a bomb run and they talk about engaging the autopilot. Autopilot was not like a common thing. Like this was something that was developed in like top secret. The Norton bobsite was considered top secret. The fucking navigator had to go check that out like you would go check out ComSec, like you would check out secrets. And they had to fucking that was considered like you didn't let that leave your fucking possession.
Yeah.
And you go and put that in, and what that site did and communicated with the fucking airplane, like that site basically flew the airplane to get to the fucking bombing target as the lead, because the lead aircraft is the one, once they dropped the bombs, everyone else dropped on them.
Right.
So it was so important for the lead aircraft to be on, which is why you see later when they fucking grab old boy, because the navigator was sick, and they grabbed fucking Lost guy, and the names, I'm terrible. I can't do the names. But they grab him and say, hey, you're going to be the lead guy. And he's like, I can't do that. And they're like, yeah, you can do it. Don't worry about it. Slap him on the ass, get him in a fucking airplane.
Yeah.
These guys are doing this shit with technology that was like brand fucking new. They're 23, 24-year-old kids. Every one of them, the average age, these are majors that we're following, right? They're 23, 24 years old. These
Crazy.
squadron commanders.
Yeah.
Like the average age of these fucking children that are doing this are as old as my youngest
Yeah.
that are going out there and flying these fucking missions.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane to think that these thousands upon thousands of these airmen that went and flew these combat missions were aged so, like, they had to do something that was so beyond their years.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that was going to train you for this. Like, and we get to that scene where old boy's on his observation flight, right? He's like, he gets in the left seat and he's like, flying with this other guy. He's like, hey, this is my first time. And he gets up there.
I think that might be episode 2.
No, when they go and fly that first mission.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like a training flight.
No.
Okay.
No, because what they do is they like, so you'd go and fly. So you see Buck.
Mm-hmm. Buck is the name of Gale, the pilot.
But you see Bucky go out on his first flight.
Right.
With the engine fire.
Yeah.
And so you see him come back and the fucking airplane's all shot. And he's like fucking just a wreck afterwards. Then when Buck gets into the shit and you see everything that's happening there with the flak and all the shit that's happening while they're airborne. Which, by the way, the representation of that was like, you have this vision in your mind of what it would have been like because you've seen so many movies. And you see the actual movies of what it looked like from inside the airplane. They did a really good job of representing it.
Yeah, like how fucking small it actually is and how little room there is to fucking move around.
Those B-17s were small. Like the B-24 bomber was actually bigger than the B-17.
Yeah.
So my maternal grandfather was a waist gunner on the B-24, right? Which is, it looks like the B-17, only a little bit longer and had a twin tail.
Yeah.
Bitch to fly. Jimmy Stewart flew it. Like that was his big thing, from It's a Wonderful Life.
I know, I'm familiar with Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah,
I'm like trying to think of like a Jimmy Stewart impression to do.
Oh, okay.
And like, wow, but no, it wasn't coming to me.
Yeah. But he was actually one of the squadron commanders of my grandfather.
Oh, that's cool.
While he was over there. And he was a waist gunner for over like 20 missions.
Damn.
Waist gunner on a B-24. And when I saw this portrayal of the fucking flak, to think about we as aviators, our natural instinct is to put ourselves in that position, right?
Oh yeah,
like,
I'm doing that the whole time I'm watching this fucking show.
They had radio operators.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's one of my notes. Radio operator. He's calling in for their arrival and everything.
Yeah, they had radio operators, and picture us as radio operators sitting in that fucking position, trying. You have a responsibility for one of the fucking cheek guns. They had a fucking gun that was there, which they don't really show the radio operator with his gun.
No.
But yeah, as a radio operator, getting the fuck kicked out of you. Because, all right, let me rewind.
We warned you guys this was going to happen this week.
Did you have anything in your notes about the wake up? Like the wake up for the sortie?
Just the fact that they woke them up at fucking 0300 for their first sortie.
Yeah, so they woke them up and they have their last supper.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, which is the big breakfast.
Right. And that's consistent through like the entire thing. And it's pretty remarkable that like when these guys would go out, they go out with a meal like that.
Yeah.
Right. Powdered eggs, but they'd have eggs, they'd have fucking
they said French toast and all kinds of good shit.
Yeah, they'd
bacon.
Last supper.
Yeah.
Until they get to Africa, like
cradle of fucking civilization.
When they get to the Libya missions, which is going to be later, and obviously you're not eating as well when you're living out of the airplane, but that's neither here nor there. So you get the wake up call, you're going out, you have the fucking briefings and all that stuff.
Yeah, I wrote that down. Yeah, you got your briefing, your intel, your weather.
Yep. And then they go and they're getting all their gear, right? They're going to fucking AFE.
Yeah, going to life sport.
Yep. They're getting their fucking well, the first thing they're putting on the long johns, then they have, because they didn't have like the same type of flight suit that we have now.
Right.
But they have like the coverall that has and then they put on the leathers.
Because they had to layer up too, because it was fucking freezing up there.
Yeah. It was like negative 20 degrees.
Yeah.
Like,
and the planes weren't insulated the way they are now.
They're not insulated at all.
Yeah.
It's just bare metal. And you see like the one guy, like as soon as he takes his gloves off, you're like, oh fuck, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, and he touches the gun to unjam it. I mean, that's your instinct, right? It's the fucking I work better without a glove, like, so I'm taking it off. But they had electric boots, they had electric gloves, they would literally plug into aircraft power for this shit.
Yeah.
And it never worked right. That shit never worked right. It was like you'd get shorts, like, and so they'd be like sweating, and then they'd have a short, and they'd be getting electrocuted, so they'd have to like disconnect. Yeah, like no joke. Like, so again, this is like circa 1943.
Yeah.
Trying to, like, how do we keep these guys? We need these guys to be as high as they possibly can go. We're going to put them on pure oxygen, right?
Yeah, because they crossed 10,000, oxygen on.
Which those oxygen bottles, by the way, that you see, those yellow oxygen bottles, like that you see one of them blow up when one of the fucking B-17s goes up. Those are the fucking oxygen bottles. They still use, it's the same fucking thing.
Yep.
The same circular bottles. You go to the back of a fucking KC-135 right now, you're going to see the same goddamn bottles. The microphones that they're using with the masks and the way that they're flying the aircraft, the crew coordination and shit like that, it all, like, for us as aviators, is just like has all, there's so much familiar, there's such familiarity with it. It's like sticky almost. It's almost like, ugh,
oh
God.
yeah, no, like the entire time I'm watching this, I'm thinking about this from my perspective.
Oh yeah.
Like, and you know, just being very familiar with everything that was going on.
And then, like, my secondary thought is thinking about it from my grandfather's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, as a waist gunner, going out there and collecting your shit, collecting your gun, right? Because they go out there to fucking drive out in the Jeep on the flight line. They do a really good job. Like, as somebody who has
pre-flight.
Yeah.
I wrote a note about that too.
One of the things that I think they do very well, and I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky for so many things. And one of the things I'm really lucky to have done was to go on that England trip, because I got to go and go into some Quonset huts that were there in, at Chelveston, which was one of the fields. It's not one of the ones that's featured here.
Yeah.
But where the 305th was, I got to go into fucking the huts where they were. I've been on some of the ramp areas where they were driving, like, from one area to another, like driving on some of those roads.
Yeah.
Like in the English countryside, kind of getting that feeling for it. And when we were doing that, when they were like in the Jeep kind of going, and you get that English countryside kind of feeling to it.
Oh yeah.
They did such a good fucking job, because I was like, that's what it was like. That's what it was like when I was just going through it as a spectator, like, kind of riding in history. I had just this kind of like almost like flashback moment of like, oh my God, that's like the bicycle thing. Bicycles were everything. Like, that's how they got into town. That's how they got to chow. Like, if you had a bicycle, like, you were in there like swimwear.
Right.
Like, that's how you got to the pub. That's how you got laid. It's how you, like, it, they did such a good job of capturing those little things with what the connection with the town they were in and the crews.
Yeah.
kids, like they interacted with the kids all the time. It was not in any way contentious with the locals. Like it wasn't like, you know, Marines in Okinawa. It was more like, you know, like, hey, you know, come on, we'll share our stuff, and here's chocolates and for stockings and shit like that, like trading, you know, entertaining the kids and doing stuff like that. It was just they became part of the community, and I witnessed that. I got to see that when I went to Chelveston and going to the church where they fucking went and to the pub where they fucking drank. It was amazing, just absolutely fucking amazing. Something that they captured in very, very small ways, and I fucking applaud them for it.
Yeah, no, the attention to detail is fucking crazy in this. So you had mentioned the beginning scene. I'm just kind of like looking back at my notes. When Bucky goes ahead and is flying that combat mission where they're diving to fucking put out the fire and all that, and afterwards he's all like fucking disheveled, and that's when the guy like told him straight up. He said, "Don't tell your guys about this. Let them figure it out on their own."
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's fucking crazy. But I guess it kind of makes sense, because like, how do you explain that to somebody who's, you know, never done this before?
Yeah, honestly, it's like it's trial by fire.
Yeah.
Like you have to have experienced it. And you know, how many times have we been in that same situation, right? Where you go out on a particular sortie and it's like, okay, you know, it's going to be like, we know this is going to be shitty, right? And you have somebody in the seat that hasn't really experienced this level of shitty before.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know to be like, they don't know to have their butthole puckered a little bit.
Yeah.
They just
They
this,
figure it out quick.
Yeah, they have this look of innocence about them, and you're just kind of let it happen, right? Because part of it, like especially in training, right? Part of it is I'm trying to stress you out. Like, if I'm the instructor, I'm trying to stress you out. I'm trying to put you in a position where you're uncomfortable, because I want you to be uncomfortable in a controlled environment.
Yes.
Because then we can train through it. And you're going to learn something on the other side of it, and you're going to be better for it. You know, it's not just to be a dick.
Right.
At least that's how we were. How I tried to be anyway. If it actually worked, I don't know. But the idea was, you get smacked in the face with this reality, and then you see how you're going to deal with it and what you need to do going forward to fucking deal with that reality. These guys, especially in the 100th, and we're going to see a lot more of it. Like, this, what we got here, and even in the first 2 episodes, even though you didn't see the second one yet, for the punch in the face that you got while they're in the airplane, it doesn't really get into how much hurt they're in when they're not in the airplane.
Oh, well,
like,
yeah.
You see it. In the first episode, does it have Bucky he's like on the wing of the plane, and he tells the dude to punch him?
No.
All right. You'll see some of the breaking point, but it doesn't get into like these guys. The fucking mortality rate was so bad, not only with the 100th, but just with the 8th Air Force. Right? Something to put into perspective. The 8th Air Force casualty rate was higher than anything that was happening anywhere else in the war.
Wow.
Like, there was times when within the 8th Air Force, like, there was a 25% casualty rate. So
Crazy.
that means, like, these guys were taking off on missions, landing, and half of the racks in their fucking, you know, were empty.
Yeah.
They came back to. And then there's stories where new guys would come in, they'd put their shit down, they'd go fly, they'd never come back. Their shit would never even get unpacked.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And you learn to not make friends. These guys would get to a point where they don't make friends because they didn't want to lose a friend. In the beginning, and these guys, and they may get to it in the show, And they should, because it's an important part of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really important part of this, is the loss. This isn't about like, airmen drinking and having a good time, whatever. What the Bloody 100th and why you're focusing on them is because they took so many losses and what they had to do to cope with that.
Yeah.
The priest you see in the fucking beginning of this,
Mm-hmm.
that dude has a very rough time of it. Like,
Right.
his story is very, very hard to deal with, watching these guys leave and not come back.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't all die, because leaving and not coming back doesn't necessarily mean death. But if you're behind enemy lines and you're rolled up in a PW camp, you might not be back for fucking 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and a lot of these guys did. And that's the other thing. They fucking bail out of these fucking airplanes. Parachuting was not a fucking thing yet.
Right.
Right. Like paratroopers this is brand fucking new. This is like jumping out of perfectly good airplanes was a brand new thing.
Yeah.
And we were just figuring out how to do it. Like, my grandfather was just learning how to do this shit down in Fort Benning. And these guys they put parachutes on and they just went, whee! Just fucking, hey, there's a hole in the airplane. Let's get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And as you go through the fucking war and you go through the data with the 8th Air Force, how many of these dudes fucking survived jumping out, just jumping out of the fucking airplane?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure in World War II they didn't really abide by the whole don't shoot at people who are parachuting. So
no, they're still shooting flak up, and there were fucking Messerschmitts coming and trying to get you too.
yeah,
But the idea of like, okay, I have this parachute on. I don't know. I guess I pull the thing when I get out, and
yeah,
here's hoping. But you're in a B-17, and if you look at any of the footage, like of a B-17 going down, what they show in the show is just a colorized version of what was really happening.
yeah,
Airplanes flat spinning with the tail missing, and guys just jumping out of the fucking, where the empennage missing of the fucking airplane, there's a big hole, so guys are just like, whee, just jumping out of it.
yeah,
And it fucking just like, okay, here we go. Like, and they fucking did it. And you had guys that would fucking do this, and they'd evade and get to like fucking, I don't know, get to wherever they could. They get back to the base, and then fucking get an airplane and do it again.
yeah. It's
They
absolute insanity.
Get an airplane and do it again. It just, you had letters. You had letters that you wrote home,
Mm-hmm.
and you had each other.
Yeah,
And that was it. No phone calls, no nothing. They were gone for years
yeah.
when they left.
Mm.
But the fucking mortality rate is what killed me. So I got really into this after being there for one,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing my family wasn't close with my paternal grandfather, or my maternal grandfather rather.
Right.
So I never really got to know him. I knew he served.
Sure.
I didn't know what he did until he had already passed.
Right.
So I would have loved to have fucking got into his brain
Yeah.
to find out like some of the shit he went through.
Right.
But
Though it's also been my experience that people who normally go through that kind of shit don't really like to talk about it either.
well, so he was a heavy drinker. And
Yeah. Can't say I'm surprised.
And honestly, I'm in the same boat. Like when I started to, I'm trying to share a screen here. That's what all the dicking around is. I don't want to share that screen though.
What is he doing?
Who?
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's me. I'm doing a lot of clicking.
Yeah.
I want this tab. Can we share this tab?
Which tab?
That one. No, not that one. Not that one. Window? That one. All right, let's do that. All right. So
Oh shit.
yeah, this is we're talking World War II, and I've gushed about. I'm again extremely lucky, and I come from a line of military. Right, my grandparents on both sides. My maternal grandfather, who we're talking about now, in the 8th Air Force, and then my paternal grandmother was in the Navy. I should just click here. Yeah, that's her here.
Yo, who's her friend?
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I at some point I knew her name, and this is my paternal grandfather. So there may be some resemblance there. I don't know.
There is.
I don't know if anybody if you've seen this picture before.
Not sure.
But this is the picture where people looked at it, and I was standing there at my grandfather's funeral, and they saw this and they're like, it looks exactly like me. It looks exactly like this is him with his fucking jump wings and his jump boots and everything. It's just it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
But here's my paternal grandfather.
I've seen that picture a lot.
Right.
You used to have that on your desk.
I
at work.
did. I had it. This is my paternal grandfather. He's in this is a crashed P-38. You could see the bullet hole in the canopy. This is on the Philippines. This is after they had already jumped and liberated the Philippines. It's on Negros Island. And yeah, so he's very sick with malaria in this picture.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they had malaria so bad. This is my maternal grandfather. Here is, this is his basic training picture, basically. And he's got his, and you can see the airman, aviation badge over there. So that's him in basic, and here he is. This is in front of one of his crews. This is England, 1944.
Oh,
this
damn.
is him over here. But yeah, this is one of the B-24 crews. I actually did a bunch of research on this particular airplane to figure out the airplane. There's a whole history. I'm not going to go into it right now. We could be here all night.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a picture with him and his crew. And it's something it's funny. Our unit was so small.
My penis so smooth.
Our unit was so small that we knew each other to the point where having a crew photo like this would be weird.
Yeah.
I have a photo like this from my Finney flight, my crew.
Yeah, there's the individual crews, but it's not like the old days where you were assigned to a crew.
We didn't have hard crews like this, but these guys would fly together a majority of the time.
Yeah.
So he knew a lot of these guys very well. This is a picture of a B-24. This is taken from, I think this is from his waist gunner position, and it's dropping bombs. I don't know if you can see him there. I'll zoom in so the video audience can actually see it a little bit better. But yeah, B-24 dropping bombs over Baghdad.
Like Outcast.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the ball turrets on top. Again, B-24, similar to B-17. I didn't have a family on B-17.
Yeah.
And here's doing pre-flights.
Yeah. So, and going back to the pre-flight in the movie, I'm just like, wow. Just again, it's bringing back all these memories, and then when they're starting each individual engine. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was told by our historian, at the 305th, one of the things you notice as you get later into the war is that all of the enlisted aircrew were NCOs.
Okay.
And the reason they did that is because when they were getting shot down, now this will tell you how frequently they were getting shot down.
Yeah.
when they were getting shot down and they were going into the German camps, if they were less than NCO rank, they were being sent to like prison camps, they were being turned into laborers.
Oh,
Because they were privates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So as NCOs, they were put in a different camp and they were treated differently.
Interesting.
So they made all the enlisted air crew NCOs.
Okay.
So it basically, like, if you look at these crews, like, now granted, this is him as all these guys have made a little bit more rank than just a sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really see it, but like the aerial gunner wings are a little bit different than our CEA wings. But so like the radio operator and the radio operator has wings like ours, right? With the same wings that we wore, they wore. The aerial gunners had like it almost looks like bombs, like that are kind of connected.
Okay.
And those were the aerial gunner wings.
Okay.
So you can see, like, I'm trying to get a better close-up picture because some of these are like this must have been in his fucking coat pocket and getting washed.
Yeah, you can see it's all crumpled up and everything.
But like, you get close enough, you can kind of see like it's just a little different. But yeah, it's like I said, later in the war, you got to a point where it's like, okay, making all these guys NCOs so they don't get fucking when
Yeah, when they get shot
when
down.
they get shot down. Not like maybe. Like for us, we always trained. We trained like we could get shot down.
Yes.
Right? We went to survival school and we trained for a scenario that was extremely unlikely. But at least we'd have some skill set to be able to do certain things.
Yes.
But it was extremely unlikely. That's not the case for these guys. And they didn't have the opportunity to train like we did.
No.
Right? These guys were like, okay, you're going to be proficient in your fucking job enough to get on the fucking boat or ride the airplane across the way, and then you're going to be on a fucking crew doing your dollar ride into fucking Germany.
Right.
And good luck.
Yeah.
We're all counting on you.
Yeah, no month in Washington State doing land survival training.
No, nothing like that. But yeah, anyway, there's just throwing it out there as something a little something tangible to connect like these guys, like in the 8th Air Force.
Yeah.
Some like I think I said it not too long ago, but the chances of my existence, me personally, my existence on this earth, like watch Masters of the Air, look at all the shit that they went through, look at all those guys that get shot down, and it gets much worse.
Yeah.
What you saw in episode 1 is not even close to the reality yet. And I don't know how far they're going to get into it. But
I feel like they will.
But this is not even close to the reality yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to watch. But it's necessary.
Yeah.
The one grandfather being in the 8th Air Force flying 20 missions as a B-24 waist gunner.
Mm-hmm.
Like these guys were getting killed in the B-24. They had issues landing this airplane. It was just a difficult airplane to fly.
Right. Let alone being shot at and dodging flak and everything else.
Exactly. Because the missions that they were going on, too, like the B-17s were getting a lot of the bigger missions. The B-24s had a bigger bomb load. So they had it was like a different mission set. It was a whole thing. So you got him doing that with the 8th Air Force.
Yeah.
You know, my other grandfather is a paratrooper jumping in the Pacific on Japanese controlled islands, which the Japanese were not known for fucking, their mortality rate for fucking POWs was not very high.
No.
So it's not like, hey, if one grandfather jumps out of an airplane, there's a chance he get rolled up by the Germans and make it out of there. The other one, no. he gets it. If something happens, he gets rolled up. He's not going to make it. So just the just regular chances of existing, and then throw some odds like that of both grandparents having those unbelievable odds of survival,
Mm-hmm.
and that come together to fucking.
It's fucking crazy to think about.
Yeah. And then that my dumbass would fucking join the military and go and fly in fucking airplanes for a goddamn living.
Mm-hmm.
And not obviously not with any we cannot the closest guys that can have any that are in the Air Force right now that have any kind of proximity to this at all are like that fly for a living. Not combat controllers and not those guys like that are like on the ground in the shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But guys that are like flying low all the time, getting shot at, like they're just always in their nose in the shit, are C-130 guys.
Yeah.
Right? Either like AC-130s, at least they can shoot back, or C-130 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because their airplanes are designed for that. They're designed to fucking take bullets. Like all the other airplanes that we've been on,
Mm-hmm.
like they're not designed to get shot.
Yeah. The only time our plane was shot was from the inside.
Oh God, yes. And we were lucky to survive.
Oh God, that's a long story for another day. But yeah, no, that's it's fucking crazy. Now I had a couple of other flashback moments watching this episode. So there was the one sortie where they couldn't get their gear down and they go to do the manual gear extension.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Had to do that. Actually had to do it for real. Like legit, our gear wasn't coming down. I think, no, we had just lost hydraulics. So they couldn't lower the gear.
Right.
So you're back there fucking cranking this handle that's lowering the goddamn landing gear so you can actually, stand a chance of survival after,
Again, this is in a 135
yeah.
that was designed as a warplane,
Yes.
right? It was designed so that if a system like that failed, you could go back and like have a sweaty back there fucking like cranking the fucking thing down.
Mm-hmm.
They don't design planes like that anymore.
No,
They,
no.
They take these commercial derivative airplanes and they fucking like, the gear will free fall down. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Until
what's
it
the worst that
doesn't.
happens? Yeah. Then when they were on their sortie and they're navigating through the clouds and they're in formation, right? And they're like, well, where's the fucking lead? Like, I can't see him. We're in zero visibility right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're in a formation. I think the one guy's quote was, "I want your wings so tight you can't fit a dime through."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're navigating. And then all of a sudden, boom, one of the planes is just fucking there. And they're having to maneuver. Back in Oklahoma, when I'm doing my boom operator training, like third or fourth actual sortie, we're doing formation. And what do you know? There's weather in the area.
Shocking.
Yeah. So we're the second plane. And after you take off on the 135, you kind of level off. Then the boom operator goes to the back. After everything's good to go, you go to the back. You've got a bunch of checklist stuff you got to do back there. So, right, we get up there. We get to that first level off. We head to the back. Immediately, they get an alert because we were in zero visibility. We get an alert. They see the plane fairly close and immediately puts it into a dive. So me and my instructor are like, woo! Yeah, we're fucking 0G for a second there. And then we fucking hit the ground. My instructor grabs me, throws me in a seat. Put your seatbelt on. And he's like grabbing something. And it's like fucking crazy. And I'm watching this scene and I'm just like, it's happening again. There was and then I mentioned the landing gear too. It just the fucking the lucky deuce. The guy had a lucky $2 bill that he took on every flight. The superstition, basically, like that's that's a big thing.
Let's look at my wallet right now. Let's look at my wallet right now, and we can go ahead and pull out a $2 bill that I've had literally the entire time I've been in the Air Force. Is this $2 bill right here?
I'll be damned.
Yeah. This guy right there. Yeah.
And you always flew with it and everything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Now, we always knew Dave was a little more superstitious than most people,
Yeah,
but
well, I'm fucking. I have that Irish in me that fucking just.
well,
I am a smart, relatively intelligent individual that knows. I know better, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it.
yeah. No, I feel you, man.
We used to, like Jason and I, like what we used to do on a normal basis with air refueling. Yeah, just the idea of going and parking behind another airplane.
Yeah. Like you could look in the eyes of the guy in the other plane.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna get behind you here, and you're gonna fly a big stick into the fucking top of the airplane, and then you're gonna fucking ram that
My penis so smooth.
ram that thing into the fucking airplane, and then once it's connected, we're all gonna stay together, and then we're gonna practice doing things like turning, and fucking doing shit, and we would go up, and this was what we would do, like, oh hey, I'm going up on a local today. Yeah. Like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, well, I went and fucking basically made 2 airplanes go boop.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop,
Yep.
boop, boop. And if you had a bad pilot, it was a lot of like, yeah.
Yeah, basically we went up to 30,000 feet, pissed in God's face for 3 hours.
Like 25 to 27,000 feet. But yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And just really like, flipped off with both middle fingers. Watch the airplane, like something that you can't pick up. And if you're watching Masters of the Air, and look, the B-17 was a fucking solid airplane, right? Go to the Air Force Museum. If you're on the East Coast, you can go to the Dover Museum. There's a AMC, Air Mobility Command Museum at Dover Air Force Base. That it's a great little museum. There's a KC-10 there. There's a KC-135 there. I happen to have actually flown on that KC-10, and I was a maintainer on the 135 that's there, static display.
Nice.
How do you know you're old? But there you have a B-17 in there. They have a B-17 Golf that's in there with a little display, so you can actually, if you've never seen one, you can go and look at a B-17 up close. They're not the biggest airplanes, but they're getting tossed around. You watch when you're behind another airplane in formation, or you're in turbulence, the airplane is bending.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're air refueling and you're behind like you're behind another airplane, and you're watching the airplane just twist on itself.
Yeah.
Like you're watching it do this. Like you're sitting in the back, and our radio operator station was in the back of the airplane. So you would look down the aisle, and this is how you freak out a student, right? New student. Like, hey, look down the aisle, and you're watching the aisle do this shit.
Yeah. Because
you're in an airplane that wasn't designed to fucking be air refueled. And you watch the color drain out of somebody's fucking face, because they're already fucking up. They're already like, this is not natural. Like, look out the window, you see the wings of another fucking airplane are right there. You're staring into another engine, and you're like, oh yeah, go up front. And you go up front, and there's like, all you can see is another fucking airplane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that very first air refueling I did as a boom operator, my first job was a C5. First time we're up in the air, I'm already a little nervous, and then that big C5 rolls up right behind us, and I'm like,
bow wave coming in at you.
Fucking insane what they have us do. But like what these guys went through with the B-17 was even wilder. Just between getting shot up and belly landings.
Yeah, and what we went through is nothing. But what I guess the point I'm making is what you normalize in those situations. Like, you normalize these things as, yes, this is what I'm going to go do. Yes, I'm going to go on this mission that the chances of me not coming back are high.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to bring this stuff with me because I'm probably not going to come back to it type shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go ahead and check out of this hotel room because I'm probably not going to come back. That type of mentality. And you go out there and you fucking are terrified nonstop, and you normalize it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any less scary, but you normalize it to the point where this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you do that for as long as you can until you get to a fucking point where it breaks you. And I don't know about you, but I got to a point in my career where it was like there were things that when I was a young crew member that I can handle, and then as an old crew member, I handled it a lot less. Like I was lucky. I never got airsick. Like that was never a thing for me. But there was definitely like anxiety for certain things.
Oh God, yeah. Because I mean, we had to do things that civilian aircraft don't have to. Like you know, if we have to get from point A to point B, there's a big old blob of red in between, and we can't get around. We can't get into somebody else's airspace. Well, fuck, we got.
Oh God, dude. Yeah, you're blowing through things that. Yeah, you're doing things that. They're just. You're normalizing things that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And what you're going to see in Masters of the Air, and why we're telling our stories and we're telling less of their stories. I recommend watch their stories and read their stories.
Yeah.
Because as you're watching and reading about these guys, even if we never talk about another episode of this, as you're watching and reading it, I want you to kind of put yourself in a position of what they're normalizing.
Yeah.
And they would go out and they knew at some point they were like, okay, I have to do 25 missions to go home.
Yeah.
So now they're like, okay, I have to fucking I have to go live to 25. And that was where their hope was.
Yeah.
Like they just got to keep rolling the dice until they get to that fucking number.
Yep.
You know, and that's why like the B-17, we know what the B-17 is because of like this amazing marketing thing that they did with the fucking Memphis Belle. That's a whole nother story of the movie, the Memphis Belle, and everything else. Great stuff. But the B-17 was not even the most prolifically made bomber. I mean, there was more B-24s built than the B-17, and there was it had a bigger bomb load than the B-17 did. But it's just not as it was never popular like the B-17 was.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Flying Fortress, man. But yeah, that's why we're watching this show, because if this was for the B-24, I think it would be a completely different thing.
Potentially, yeah. Because
not everybody would be as interested.
Yeah, and they really show just how like these planes got the piss beat out of them. They'd land, there'd be big gaping holes in the side of them, bullet holes,
and they would land like that. They would like the thing was designed, the engineering that went into it. Like, okay, you have this big metal structure for a wing, but it had a large aileron that was fabric.
Yeah,
and they made it fabric because it was more easily repaired.
Yeah, and what's funny too is when like specifically that scene where they did the belly landing, they got beat the fuck up and still they gotten shot at and everything. Maintainer comes out there, he's like, it's not as bad as we thought. We'll get on the repairs right away.
Well, case in point, right? So that particular thing, like a belly landing, their gear when it retracted didn't fully retract. Right? Their gear rolled up into like the engine. Like the engine compartment.
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of like came up. So when it belly lands, it doesn't actually like, it's not completely on the belly. Like the nacelle is actually riding on the wheel because the wheel's not all the way inside the fuselage.
Okay.
So it's actually making it more survivable.
Right.
So that they can go out there and go like, yeah, we'll get it back in the air.
Yeah.
And they did. They fucking, there's a reason that there's more B-17s, flying today than B-24s. I think there's one flying B-24.
Yeah.
One. As opposed to, I think there's probably, I know of at least 3 flyable B-17s. There was 4 that I know of before the crash that happened
Oh yeah, where the two collided.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the Texas one. But yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a hell of an airplane, but yeah, it's tiny. It's
So smooth.
it's so
My penis so smooth.
and just these guys. When you're watching this, yeah, think about what they normalized, and then also think about how old they were, and when they came back. You know, this is the foundation for the Greatest Generation, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, some people, you know, maybe it didn't work out so well for, you know, because they maybe drank a little too much, maybe didn't treat their family the best when they came back.
Yeah.
But for they did what they fucking had to do, you know, when they got over there, and they got in the airplane, whether they like it or not. And they fucking went and they did it again. Like it just every time I think about it, it astounds me.
Yeah.
It astounds me.
Yeah. Strange time. Very, very strange time.
Because there was definitely points. There was points in my career where I was like, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Do I really want to get in this fucking airplane? Not because it was like so super dangerous. Not because we're gonna get shot at.
Yeah.
Well, I mean. Yeah, just because it was like
Well, you never know,
you know,
right?
Yeah, like is today
always
the day
a-
this fucking idiot's going to do something dumb,
Right, because
I mean,
we had some idiots up front flying these things, and you know, one guy's like, "Oh, look at this," and then next thing you know, they
get somebody that's being treated by a veterinarian that's gonna go flying.
He's no longer with us.
No,
though, so
no.
probably shouldn't speak ill of the dead.
Rest in peace. But what a fucking idiot! Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
So yeah, there was. I mean, even though we didn't deal with nearly the amount of danger these guys did, there was always that threat.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, even just getting onto that airplane, you never know.
Yeah, and it was different what we had to normalize, but we both deployed,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to get in the next episodes, for those of you who may have watched it, like you get some of what deployment is like what the deployment atmosphere kind of is. And you'll pick up when I'm laying down once you see it.
Oh sure.
But again, I want to stress to the viewer that here's my critique as we tie this up, because it's almost 8.
Yeah.
My one critique of it so far
Mm-hmm.
is that while it has there's a lot of impact and they're doing a lot of things really well, I don't think that I don't know if it's giving the audience the full effect of like how much loss there was,
Yeah.
even at this early stage with the 100th.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to get worse. It just is. This is reality. The bloody 100th was a real thing.
Yeah.
Like these losses in the 8th Air Force, these missions they were flying, what seemingly the targets they were hitting that were seemingly ridiculous, like, and the unfortunate luck that these guys had, and some of it was just that. Some of it's just luck.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better be lucky than good.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I joke, I don't play the lottery and don't rely too much on gambling, because I burned up all my fucking luck in the goddamn airplane.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to get worse. And I don't say that to dissuade anybody from watching the show. I'm saying that because that's the reality.
Yeah.
And they'd be doing it a disservice if they didn't get there.
One last thing before we close. Did you notice that they took a joke from Dumb and Dumber damn near word for word and put it into this movie?
No.
when they were at the Last Supper and some guy spilled the salt.
Oh, he threw
And
the salt.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing from Dumb and Dumber. I'm like, really? Really? You're just going to recycle that joke? I guess it's been long enough. It's been over 30 years. About 30 years.
That might actually happen, though. That might actually happen.
True.
I mean, this is the 1940s. I think it might have happened before Dumb and Dumber.
All right.
Because that's the other thing too. Like they brought out some corn-fed. Like you get a guy who's okay, they're going to be air crew.
Yeah.
Right. They're going out there to be gunners. All they got to do is like, all right, make machine gun go da 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 da, da and be good at it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, some guys
I'm
who
not
may
a smart man.
Yeah, they may never have seen like
they don't know this superstition or they never encountered it, so it's just like okay, like the amount of worldliness that we have and now didn't exist back then. Like knowing that's the thing, like knowing like, hey, such and such is some guy from fucking Long Island. You're going to be drawn to that guy because you have this commonality for where you're fucking from.
Sure.
Like you're most likely going to know that person. Like, or that person's from New York. Like, oh, you're from Manhattan. I'm from fucking Brooklyn or something.
Yeah.
Like in my grandfather's, one of my grandfather's things from the 503rd, they actually they have group pictures from the state that they're from. So like each state, they have I have a picture. In fact, it was on my Facebook profile. It was the background for like Veterans Day one year. I made it my background. It was all the fucking guys in the regiment that were from New Jersey. But that's what they kind of geolocated themselves, right, with other people from. That's how they related. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm from New Jersey. Like, oh yeah, I'm from New Jersey. What part? Or New York or Pennsylvania or anything else. Like those were real things because that was something you gravitated toward. We have this, like the way our military is structured now. Like, yeah, there's still some of that, but for the most part, like it's so smooth.
My penis is so smooth.
The military is so much smaller that you have to build relationships and interact in so much of a different way. And before we close, I started with talking about how these guys they went out and they flew, right? This was their job. Yeah. This is like, and this is what deployment is like. You go out, your job is to fly. Yeah. Like you didn't have these like in garrison jobs like we have now where you're fucking, most of the job was, it felt like you never flew. All you were doing was fucking your desk job. Yeah. Right.
Talking about us, not these guys.
Right. Well, in the second episode, you'll see Bucky, and I think maybe you get it a little bit in the first episode. I can't remember, but where Bucky as a squadron commander is not flying as much.
Right.
And
yeah, and he mentions he wants to fly. He doesn't want to be the squadron commander.
He doesn't want to be the guy that's fucking watching the guys fly in and counting airplanes.
Yeah.
He wants to be out there with them. And like this admin creep that kind of comes into it. Catches up with them a little bit, but still it's deployment operations. They're not worried. They have admin people.
Right.
We don't have that anymore. Like, and
no.
and
that's a whole other thing.
That's something that the military has fucking lost sight of.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress.
Okay. So, I mean, for me, like, I didn't have anything really negative to say about it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, but we've got to do reads because we've already gone over time.
Reads, and why is that highlighted? What happened? How can I do this fast? How can I do it fast?
I don't know, because all your voices are slow people.
Right.
Do it for Mama? She kind of talks a little.
She's kind of slow too.
Yeah.
So what if we did it with news announcer guy or our
Drunk Brokaw?
No. Headline announcer guy. Like Star Wars
Oh,
announcer guy.
yeah, the narrator
Narrator guy.
Yeah.
ATSW Family Happenings. We are 2 weeks away from Star Wars Podcast Day 2024. Actually, we're trying to do it like, was it Jim McMahon, the announcer guy?
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks away from Star Wars Podcast Day 2024. February 7th will be the 25th anniversary of a very first Star Wars podcast, Jedi Talks. We'll be celebrating on Monday, February 12th, with our topic, Asajj Ventress. Yeah, Asajj Ventress in Clone Wars. If you have a Star Wars podcast and would like to participate, reach out to LG in a DM on our socials. Snooch, Big Lovin', and Dragon Buddy will have a busy week between Sports Ball, Las Vegas, and running around with LG.
Yeah, fucking Brady's in Vegas again.
They will be free balling on Wednesday. Talk about all the stuff and why do I have a blind spot? Oh my god, I'm getting a migraine. Talking about all this stuff and more in only a way they can. Catch IDSW, the Escape Pod live, 1905, 7:05 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Sweet Studios was working on something loud and heavy with his old band, Slaves for Scores, but now Lunar Girl thinks he has paused to clean his studio and play with his floofy puppy. Floofy. That's hard to say fast. Follow Sweet Studios on the gram for updates and check out his back catalog on YouTube. He also just did a post on mixing for guitars. Like it had like how to make a heavy guitar mix with split tracking, or I don't know. Watch Sweet Studios on YouTube. He knows
He's smarter than us.
Yes, he knows what he's doing. Use and Abuse was live again over the weekend with What's This? Another live unboxing video. Catch the replay at Use and Abuse Pod on YouTube. Layman's Terms released Don't Buy PS4s this past weekend on his YouTube channel. And he was a guest on the Podcast of Pain discussing the Royal Rumble 2024. Check out the replay of both streams on YouTube. The Orange and Fett Show released episode 101, Daryl Brooks, on Friday. Find them on Spotify and Apple. You can find us at bio.link/the Sidebar Cantina, where you can find our links to Patreon, YouTube, and our audio podcasts on Apple, Audible, Spotify, and all social media platforms, including X, Instagram, and Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and Discord. Once you get to the bio link, simply click the symbols under our pick and go to your platform of choice. You can also find our links to the Spotify music mixtape playlists. Also, on our bio link is our TeePublic merch shop. Choose from 7 designs on everything from t-shirts and hoodies, tote bags, phone cases, exclusive stickers, pens, wallets, magnets, notebooks, laptop cases, pillows! Just about anything you can imagine. Nothing says loving like a naked Jason chick on a pillow. Go to bio.link/the Sidebar Cantina and click merch. Reviews!
No new reviews.
Motherfucker.
But we do still owe you all a Hennifer appearance.
We do
for the last set of
just,
reviews.
Just not today because it's late.
Yeah.
Please write us a 5-star review on Apple or Audible. Lunar Girl misses Hennifer so much. She said. Plus, oh no, somebody please leave a review. Don't have an Apple or Audible account, our Facebook page had a review feature too. Just screenshot your review before you hit done and DM us a pic on Instagram or Twitter with your name and address so Lunar Girl can send you a super cool ATSW family swag pack. This is your chance to tell us what your thoughts on the show. Jennifer, Jason, or Jennifer Lopez, or Hank, or Edith, or Mama, or Drunk Tom Brokaw, or somebody's talking really fast. We'll read your review word for word on our next episode. Let us know who you want to read it. Finally, if you catch us on Spotify, help us out. Click those stars. If you're listening to us on audio, please consider joining us in the live chat on Mondays. The chat is most definitely where it's at. If you are new to Sidebar, please subscribe, ding that bell, select all to receive notifications when we go live. Please remember to smash that like button. It really helps us out. And that is that.
All right. Next week, no show.
No show.
I will be out of town. So we will not be recording then. But after that, like you mentioned, we're doing Star Wars Podcast Day with an Asajj Ventress episode. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about Dark Disciple.
Yes.
This brand new book that just came out.
Shit. That I read forever ago and told Jason, you should read this book. And Jason was like, go fuck yourself.
Well, now it has a lot of relevance to it.
Yes.
So we're going to talk
almost
about
like
that.
I knew something about books.
Yeah, but that'll be the week before the Bad Batch comes out.
Read a goddamn book.
So, and that's it.
That is in fact it.
And we're gonna get out of here because
Intergalactic proton-powered electrical technical advertising droid.
sure.
No, it's Lunar Girl. It said it in the. Well, she said the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. I prefer intergalactic proton-powered electrical technical advertising droid.
Yes.
I'm Darth Harrington from Darth Harrington's Interactive. Never mind.
Anyway,
Same with to you.
I gotta watch that again.
Oh, dude, it's a fucking mess.
It's been all the Robot Chicken lately for me.
Yeah.
Going back and rewatching those. Just
Well, it's good. You have like a palate cleanse with the Family Guy, then
Yeah.
you kind of go back and forth, and then it starts to all blend into one thing. You can't remember which one was which. Which is where I'm at most of the time.
right. So anyway, that's it for us. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to all of our audio listeners and all of our patrons. And until next time, Dave and everybody else, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
I was not ready for that. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the tape on that one.
Oh my god, that was funny. You were just bending over to do something else. Oh, he's off frame. Let me go ahead and.
Oh, was I off frame?
I don't know if you were or not. I just.
Oh my god.
It looked like you were distracted. So I'm like, oh, perfect time.
I got him. All right, everybody. We're shutting off the stream. Hope you had a good laugh at the end there. Peace.
Bye.